Hello everybody and welcome back to the funniest tweets. The 2024 Formula 1 season is finally here. We've had our first race and what a thrilling Grand Prix we had all the way to the last lap between Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo. Oh, did you think I meant for the lead? No, of course not. Max Verstappen crushed all of our dreams, hopes, and very much woke us up from our delusion, did he not? But we've got great tweets, and we're Formula 1 fans. We'll be there no matter what, week in, week out. And, you know, we'll try and just support each other through this difficult time. Max Domination. Right, I mean, we had to have this, didn't we? We had to speak about it because memes were made to talk about Max Verstappen and his domination. Max gave us a bit of hope as well. He doesn't usually sort of bait us into thinking that teams might be closer than what is predicted. I think there was a little bit of chatter around Russell saying half a second a lap is what he predicted. Max would be quicker than everybody else. And Max sort of said, oh no, I don't think it's that big. And that kind of stuff, you know, so you go, okay, maybe it's a couple of tenths. At Moofy17, me when Max is 10 seconds up the road, 10 laps in. It felt Mercedes domination era, didn't it? With the pace differential between Max in that Red Bull and everybody else. The problem that we had, well, I guess the saving grace actually that we had with the Merc domination was that sometimes Bottas, Rosberg would win. Max Verstappen in a Red Bull might pick up the odd win. Hamilton, you know, might have a day off and we'd get something crazy happening. Max Verstappen does not have days off ever. That man never switches off. And fair play. Like, he can keep up his momentum and his motivation to this level. He's already on 8 wins consecutively. Yep, you thought it stopped last year? No, he's on 8 with 3 more wins and he breaks his own record for consecutive wins. Atkas Navarro, me after seeing Max creating a 1 second gap in 1 lap. It was a harsh reality, wasn't it? We did all kind of pray, hope that maybe it would be closer. Formula 1's in a bit of trouble, I think, not just purely on the Max Verstappen front. That's not ideal. But when we have great action behind, it gives us something to watch, doesn't it? And we thought at one point the battle for second was going to be great. You know, you had 4 drivers in there, all fighting away, but not really fighting away, just in a train. And there wasn't much actual entertainment throughout the race, was there? There wasn't much side-by-side, dive bombs, all that sort of stuff. One of the only dive bombs we saw towards the end of the race was actually on the cool-down lap when Yuki Tsunoda decided to send it on Daniel Ricciardo and lock up when the race had finished. At Ronak_mystery, Matt, before the race start, 5 laps in, you can do the math with what that picture means. I was so excited. I cannot tell you. The delusion levels in my head were through the roof. I was thinking Max ain't going to win. Charles Leclerc somehow going to win today's race. We're going to hear Charles Leclerc leads the world. I had so many scenarios in my head. But after 5 laps and Max was gone, I was like, oh boy. And I love how Crofty at the end of the race, by the way, said, oh, you know, it may have not... He said something along the lines of, you know, it wasn't the greatest of races, but hey, it's the longest season ever. And I'm there like, is that a positive? At Delta Bravo Whisk, I hope you're hungry. A close qualifying and unclear fastest car. For nothing. Yeah, 22 seconds and a Red Bull 1-2. Lando gave me a little bit of hope again, because I'm clinging on to anything that might give us some good news for an actual fight at the front, was that Lando reckoned that this was the fastest Red Bull are going to get in terms of a track suiting them. We'll wait and see for that one, but Lando saying that gave me a smidgen, just a little 1% of hope for Saudi Arabia and onwards. Charles Leclerc. So, of course, a lot of you know my allegiances to a certain driver, Charles Leclerc. And again, I was very excited for his race because I thought maybe, just maybe, he could challenge Max and we get a great fight like 2022. But did we? No. At Charles Dwenzy, actually, probably. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Ferrari SF24. the first race of the season, Charles Leclerc has a car that is not functioning properly. At least he finished the race and a nice little P4, 12 points on the board. Better than last year, I guess. But I wasn't really expecting, and I probably should have, to have problems in the first race. A lot of people saying, Charles washed, oh, they fired the wrong driver, blah, 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 blah. I'm taking what Charles Leclerc said with his brakes as gospel because I am, delusionally intertwined. That's a weird word to use, but you know what I mean, with my favourite driver. So, yeah, struggles and not ideal. At Ahmed_Backbar, the Ferrari bad luck is contagious. Future Ferrari teammates, one had a battery problem, the other had an imbalance problem. Yeah. Hamilton just getting ready for what will come from 2025 onwards. Still very excited by the idea, so I'm not going to meme it too hard. I think it could be awesome. They just need to secure Adrian Newey. Like, get on the phone, Ferrari. You might not have many euros, pounds left in the bank, but if you can secure Adrian Newey, it's time for 10 years of winning, just constantly. So please. At Jobson Luke 7, Leclerc's tyres after all his lockups. It was almost every lap. You could have done a drinking game with Charles Leclerc and the amount of lockups he did. Turn 10, just kept going off. And it was quite clear that something was up. A lot of people, some people, as I say, it's just Leclerc making mistakes. No, Ferrari even confirmed it over the radio. And I don't think they're just trying to save his blushes or anything like that. There was an imbalance, I think, with the temperatures between the front left and the front right. And they said they'd talk about it later. So we didn't get any more information as of right now. At El Rushi, Charles realising he's driving the same car as last year. They said to us the drivability is better. And to be fair, Carlos Sainz cooked. Absolutely awesome this weekend and in the race. Some of the moves he pulled off, especially on Charles, were great. They were really good. But at the same time, yes, the realisation that the drivability, the better in the race stuff that they've been saying before the start of the season gave me some hope. And it did not come to fruition, did it? Not yet, anyway. I still believe. Maybe. At Rafael Silcunha. Poor man's front tyres are crying at this point. I'm really glad to see that Ferrari's team radios of we are checking, let me check, all these kind of things of I don't basically have an answer for you right now. What answers do they have ready? That's what I need to know. Like, what can Xavi actually answer from Charles Leclerc's questions immediately? I can't remember one. It's always we are checking. It's a Formula 1 race. We can't just sit around here. Come on. At Starrat TV. Not the battle we were hoping for, to be honest. Yeah, Leclerc versus the hard tyre, and I'm pretty sure... I mean, to be fair, it was the soft tyre as well, wasn't it? It was just Leclerc versus tyres, and he certainly lost today. Sainz, the chef. So I felt like there definitely was a deserving segment for Carlos Sainz this week, the driver of the day, because he was brilliant. And there was a lot to actually be memed about his race. At Wendell Sapio, Sainz, when the hard tyres will be faster than the softs? Engineer, again, they didn't really know. And then they came back to him and said it should be the crossover this lap. And then that didn't ever happen, really, did it? And Carlos, I don't think really caught up whatsoever since asking that question. So the crossover was more of a hopeful guess from Ferrari, wasn't it? It was we think it might be around here, but, don't take our word for it. At Grant S. Rivers, Sainz right now be like, he was chefing. He was absolutely in the kitchen with the right ingredients today and definitely showing that he is still a driver. And we've been saying this, me and Tommy on the podcast have been constantly saying he is a driver performing. He is. He's a very good driver. And he deserves a decent seat, but the problem is there aren't that many going. Mercedes obviously being one of them. Plenty of talk, obviously, of where he might go. But he's definitely not done himself any harm by how he's performed in the first race of the season this weekend. At L_Rushy, Carlos is really making them feel guilty for replacing him next year. I'm not... I don't think Carlos is probably like that to be going, well, you see that, Ferrari? You could have had that. Because I'm sure he has a lot of respect for the fact that he's being replaced by Lewis Hamilton. It's not like he's being replaced by a young rookie in Formula 2 at the moment or anything like that. He's being replaced by Lewis Hamilton. So, I'm sure there's a little like, oh, yeah, you like that one? But I'm sure he's he's just enjoying himself this year. There's a lot of love for Ferrari he's clearly got, and I hope he has a great season. I genuinely do. At Laub, Sainz after getting fired, and I took that personally. I don't know what it is around contracts and some drivers just going absolutely just off the rails in terms of performance and just delivering. And Bottas, I think of one, as soon as that Mercedes contract was done, he was like, I am now the GOAT. And Sainz may well have that whole season, because usually it's only a few races before the end of the season or whatever that it gets announced. He's got the whole season to just absolutely send it and see what happens. At Cell_Stone, I can't cope with this. Yes, Charles and Carlos racing each other obviously makes me nervous, but their racing is brilliant. It is brilliant to watch, especially when you know afterwards they haven't crashed, so you can then appreciate it without getting far too anxious and nervous that they are going to come together. But the amount of times they've had such close wheel-to-wheel combat and not come together is actually impressive. So I'm sure at some point, but we have been saying this for a while, it will spill over, but maybe it won't. They're just two brilliant wheel-to-wheel racers, and Sainz obviously came out on top this time, and yeah, I like it. Afterwards, Yuki loses it. Right, a small little segment for Yuki Tsunoda. I touched upon it slightly earlier, where you may not have seen the clip, but for some reason Tsunoda decided to dive bomb Daniel Ricciardo on the cool-down lap, clearly showing his frustration for the team making the decision to swap the drivers, and I'm not sure what Daniel really had to do or what part he played apart from literally just racing and following orders. Either or, at F1 Friends 2023. Tsunoda, Ricciardo. Yes, Tsunoda was not happy at all, was he? Weird that, I guess it's the first race of the year and all drivers have a lot of pride, but it was for P12, I think it was, where they were fighting for P12 with K-Mag ahead, and look, he wasn't getting through. He'd been stuck there for a few laps, and you just swap the cars and see if Danny Rick can have a go on the softs, and if not, then maybe you then swap it back, but there was no points. It never ended up being points. So it felt a little bit over the top for Yuki, but we know that he can get rather angry in the cockpit. Another one, at soft left tyre. Yuki changing positions. This is the worst press swap with Rick. Oh, he was really triggered by it. And I wonder what he'd have to say about that little cool-down shenanigans. I'm sure the team will have a word with him as well. Maybe it's suggesting slightly unharmonious things going on in that team. I don't know, but it just felt like it was an over-the-top reaction for what actually went down. At Badger Sprite, driver swap. Of course, after I overtake K-Mag. After I overtake K-Mag, right? Yeah, I mean, he was close. He was close to K-Mag, but he had a few laps. So I can understand the team just giving it a go, because you never know what will happen out ahead, and they felt like Danny Rick was slightly quicker. Very reasonable decision from RB. Yuki like, nah, mate, not happy at all. Honourable mentions. Okay, we're into honourable mentions now, and the first one is from SE68, Hamilton's car. Had his seat breaking, didn't he? It was just a weird weekend for Hamilton. I genuinely thought he would do quite well, especially with the bait that Mercedes gave us in free practice 2 of where they might have been in a dreamland. But yeah, he had some problems with the car, and yeah, it just was not a good weekend. But it was a weird, like, relaxed sort of aura that he was giving off this weekend, as if he was it's almost like he's handed in his notice and he's okay with just going along with this season and taking the rough with the smooth. And I don't think he's getting too stressed about it, because he knows, right, well, this car isn't a championship winning car out the blocks. I'm going to Ferrari next year, which will be fun. At Rhino_Peringo, Bottas, one of the longest pit stops. Yes, Valtteri loves a long pit stop. I think it was a 52-second pit stop where the front left just decided to not go on properly, and they were running around, and there was a bit of smoke coming out the brake, and eventually he got out and was still ahead of Logan Sargent, who of course had that problem with the steering wheel. But yeah, not the race that Valtteri would have wanted. At Fel Shazog 14, F1 drivers today. I fear no man. Turn 10 was a difficult one, and George Russell was saying before the start of the race that the wind direction had changed 90 degrees, which meant that some corners were going to be more difficult, and one of them, he said, was turn 10. And when you have a brake imbalance as well, probably makes it even more difficult. So, yeah, but a lot of drivers, not just Charles Leclerc, struggled at a lot of places. I think turn 8 as well, there was a few, but turn 10 was the big one. It's a difficult enough corner as it is, let alone with wind changes. And I think it was the only time the wind direction was that way through. When you look at testing, all of practice, all of qualifying, all of that was different to what today was. At Anjan_PN, trackside photo of the A524. Oh, Alpine. First of all, there's too much pink on that. Far too much colour to call that an Alpine. But yes, what a weekend to forget for Alpine. They were right at the back. Again, without Bottas and Sargent's problems, I think they would have finished second last and last. Oh, Drive to Survive is they're going to be knocking on the door. Can we record another episode, please? Because it was bad enough when you were finishing 5th or 6th. Now you're last. Right, it is now time for the best part of any weekend, Tommy's Tasty Tweets, sponsored by EA and F124. Very exciting, Tommy, that the winner will get a copy of F124. Obviously not right now because the game's not out, but when the game gets released out, gets put out, gets done out, then they'll get a game, won't they?
They will. As soon as it's there, boom, you've got it.
So, who has won Tommy's Tasty Tweet for the Bahrain Grand Prix? Hit me.
The winner is Mr. Idiot, but they're not an idiot because they've done a brilliant meme of you wanting what you want for Christmas, which was a Charles Leclerc win in Bahrain, and it didn't happen.
And what colour dragon would I want instead? Oh, perfect. Well, can I at least get the dragon? You know what I mean? I need the dragon as well, but
yeah,
hey-ho.
fair.
Delusion levels were high. Thank you, Tommy, for selecting a Charles Leclerc meme. I'm not surprised. And if you want to get involved next time, hashtag P1. Bye, Tommy.
Bye.
Right, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of the funniest tweets to the Bahrain Grand Prix. I'm sorry on the behalf of Formula One that it was a race that was very, very mediocre. We needed a banger. We didn't get it. Bahrain's a good track as well. We've been let down. But hey, next weekend we go again because we're all delusional. And big thanks to EA and F124 for sponsoring Tommy's Tasty Tweet. And if you want to get involved next time, use the hashtag P1 on Twitter and get your memes in. Be creative, make some stuff. And also, P1 live show tickets. There'll be a link in the description if you want to come and see me and Tommy live in either London, Bath or Cambridge in the middle of April. Would love to see you there. It's a very interactive show. It's not just a podcast and we'd love to see you there. So yeah, take care everybody. Lots of love. Bye.